Do you remember this moment? The world watched in 2021 as the US withdrew from Afghanistan clumsily. The images were shocking. Men clinging to airplanes falling from the sky to their deaths. But did anyone stop to ask what was so terrifying that they would rather die than stay in Afghanistan? The answer is gut-wrenching. The world saw it, but the world was silent. Did you see the terror in their eyes? Could you hear the desperate cries? Maybe the world did know what was coming, but saying it out loud was too inconvenient, too dangerous, too costly. And so they remained silent. But let me tell you something. There are people who cannot afford to be silent. There are people whose suffering cannot be ignored. And none suffer more than the women of Afghanistan. Afghan women are being erased, not metaphorically, but by design. When the Taliban took Kabul, they wasted no time. They formed the Ministry of Propagation of Virtue and Prevention of Vice. Sounds noble, right? But do you know what it means? It means simply this. Women are banned from going to universities. Yes, women banned from universities. Women banned from medical schools. Women banned from public spaces. Women banned from raising their voices outdoors. Yes, you heard that right. They can't raise their voice outdoors. A law, not a suggestion, not a cultural practice, but a law states that whenever an adult woman leaves her home out of necessity, she's obliged to conceal her voice, face, and body. Think about that. A stray dog can bark in the streets of Kabul, but a woman must remain silent. Even animals have more agency. And it gets worse. Women are not allowed to work. They are not allowed to study. And as of 2024, the Taliban has now banned women from learning midwifery. Yes, midwifery. Who will deliver Afghanistan's babies now? A Taliban fighter? A man who believes women shouldn't even speak? I'm pretty sure that there are some Taliban fighters lining up there to do, that. Let's be real. This isn't erasure. This is enslavement. In 2025, enslavement. What are Afghan women good for in the eyes of the Taliban? Ever heard the phrase, make me a sandwich? In Afghanistan, that's not a joke. That's reality. That and childbearing. But let's talk about the Afghan men's cricket team. Did you know that Afghanistan's men cricket team is thriving? Every year, they rise in the rankings. The Taliban celebrates them. They let them travel the world, compete, earn money. And yet, the women's team, non-existent. They are banned, not just from cricket, but from all sports. And here's where things get really, really twisted. The men on that team, some of them walk around clean shaven. You heard me right, no beard. They live relatively normal lives. They smile for cameras, and they are allowed to compete on the global stage. How does that make sense? One famous Afghan cricketer once wrote, "The Quran highlights the importance of learning and acknowledges the equal spiritual worth of both genders." Does it? No, really, does the Quran actually say that? If you say so, bro, okay. So where does the Taliban, and let's be honest, the Iranian regime too, get their ideas from? Because, let's be clear, they are eerily consistent in their oppression. I wonder where they got that from. Where are the feminists? Where are the activists who claim to fight for women's rights? Where are the human rights organizations that spend billions on social justice campaign? Are they blind, or is it that standing up here is inconvenient? It's not worth looking into unless we can get a kickback? Is that what you're saying? They have no problem marching topless in the streets, screaming Allahu Akbar for rights that they already have. They make viral hashtags. They rage about the patriarchy in countries where they are free to say whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want. But for the women who actually have no voice, silence. Is this not the kind of injustice you claim to fight for? Or does the fear of speaking up against radical Islam make you shrink away? Let me ask you another question, one that many are too afraid to say out loud. If Europe were overtaken, if Sharia was implemented, would it look like Afghanistan? Of course not, right? Because in Europe, we have freedoms. But if that's true, then why are our children being taught that we live in the worst societies in history? Explain that. Riddle me that, Batman. The answer is not war. I'll tell you what the answer is. It's Jesus. Let me be clear. The solution is not another war. It's not empty outrage. It's not political grandstanding. The answer Jesus. And before you roll your eyes, listen, I didn't say religion. You did. I said Jesus. Jesus, the one who lifted women up when the world cast them aside. Jesus, the one who called the outcast woman daughter. Jesus, the one who, in a world that treated women like property, gave them a voice. Did you know the first person Jesus revealed himself to after his resurrection was a woman? The first person to preach that he was risen, a woman. Under the Taliban, she wouldn't even be allowed outside. And yet, God chose her to carry the news that changed the entire world. The world is lamenting the Middle East, but I am praying for a revival in Afghanistan. I pray that, like in Iran, the people of Afghanistan will begin to see the light of Christ. I pray that someone, somewhere, sees this video and does something about it. Because right now, the world may be silent, but the cries of these women, the ones the Taliban tries so hard to silence, are still echoing. And I guarantee you, it's louder than ever, and God, Jesus Christ, is hearing.